Okay, good morning, everybody. Um, welcome to our webinar. Today's webinar is on Google Workspace versus Microsoft 365 and what would be sort of the most appropriate choice for your business. So I'm going to share my screen with you. My name's Libby, and I'm just here to give you a quick introduction to Alberon and our services and what we can offer. And I'm here with James today, who is our senior consultant for all things sort of Microsoft, Google, and he can explain a little bit more to you about what he does in a moment. So if you just bear with me while I share my screen. So yes, like I said, welcome to our webinar on Google Workspace versus Microsoft 365. My name is Libby and I'm just here to give you, like I said, a quick introduction to Alberon and what we do. So let's just jump into it. So we were started around 17 years ago in Oxford, and we primarily specialise in web application development, SharePoint development, Power BI reporting and analytics, and bespoke software development. And more specifically, some of the services that we offer include software development, web design and development, managed web hosting, and software and web support and training. And more recently, we've been expanding our SharePoint services for Microsoft, where we can help with the development, design, consultancy, and like I just mentioned, training. And we have, as part of this webinar series, we've got some other really comprehensive webinar recordings available on our YouTube channel. And in the near future, we'll also be launching some more in-depth training sessions that will be really sort of a lot more comprehensive and really get into the depth of keeping up to date with your online environments. So more specifically to SharePoint, some of the services that we offer include software development, include helping with the planning, design and development of sites, migrating and updating services, and providing ongoing support, including training. And the reason that we want to support more organizations with SharePoint is because it already comes as part of the Microsoft 365 subscription. So it's really accessible to those who already use Microsoft services. We find that many businesses don't really use SharePoint to its full potential, so we can really help organizations and individuals to maximize the benefits of the Microsoft suite of applications. And SharePoint in general can be used for more efficient collaboration, document management and control, and also be customized to your organization to handle any specific business processes that you might require. We tend to find that people enjoy using SharePoint because of its built-in functionality and centralized administration. It's very customizable in nature. They've got excellent document management and collaboration features. And once you're familiar with it, it is quite intuitive and quite easy to use. Like I've mentioned, it's fully integrated with other Microsoft 365 apps. So it just creates a really seamless and efficient end user experience, and we find that this empowers members of staff and various users to handle processes themselves instead of really heavily having to rely on external support. We've got some of our happy clients here. These include some colleges in Oxford, charities around Oxfordshire, and generally they've found that their processes have become much more efficient since moving to SharePoint and developing their SharePoint environments. And you can read more detailed testimonials on our website. Additionally, on our website, we have a range of case studies which you might find useful to read. And these case studies identify the challenges that organizations were facing and detail how we at Alberon were able to help them to create positive results that benefited everybody in their workforce. So, for instance, some of the solutions that we've delivered include establishing an easy-to-use intranet, reforming their permissions and access structures, and providing consultation and training to company staff just to help them become a bit more confident with maintaining their sites. And the results have been great, sort of included the removal of any inconsistencies within their site structure, with far more professional setups and more appropriate systems for information sharing and access. So as I mentioned previously, we've got over 17 years of experience, and this combined with the skill and the expertise of our consultants and developers means that we're able to tailor solutions specifically to the needs of different businesses. And further to that, we can provide business insights and analytics, as well as in-house technical support. So businesses that come to us feel comfortable knowing that the needs of their organisation are in safe hands. So if you're interested in the services we offer, or if you'd like to know more, please do drop us an email at hello@alberon.co.uk, and we'll be happy to discuss any queries with you. I'll now hand over to our senior Microsoft consultant, James, and I will just mention, if you have any questions throughout the webinar, there should be a Q&A box somewhere at the bottom of your screen. Please do pop them in there, and there'll be a dedicated section at the end of the webinar for us to go through any of your questions and answer them. I know that this presentation has been quite SharePoint heavy, but we are also Google partners, which James is going to discuss a bit more with you now. So this will be quite a balanced sort of comparison between the two, and the aim of this is to sort of help you decide which would be the most appropriate system for your business. So over to you, James.
Cool, thanks, Libby. Yeah, good morning, everyone. As Libby said, my name's James McDowell. I am the Senior Microsoft Consultant here at Alberon. So I suppose from the outset, cards on the table, this is pitched, as Libby said, as Google versus Microsoft, but despite the fact that I've got Microsoft in my job title, as Libby quite rightly said, Alberon and our parent company Target Integration, we are both Microsoft partners and Google Workspace partners. And just for a little heads up, we are working on the moment a new product concept that will make either of these business applications available as part of a more total business solution. So if that's something that interests you, please keep an eye on our social media, and hopefully we'll have something to announce pretty soon. Yeah, our initial focus in the last few months has been on Microsoft, primarily because that seems to be the more widely used application for businesses, and there's been a real need, particularly in our region, for support around that. But as we said, we are Google partners as well, and we are happy to work with clients. If Google Workspace is your application of choice, or it's something you're considering, then we're more than happy to work on both, and we have the expertise in-house to do that. So I'm just going to share my screen, and you have to tell me if you can see that, Libby. Yeah, so as we said, today we're looking at Google Workspace versus Microsoft 365, and I'm just going to go over under a small number of headings the similarities, but also the differences between these two suites of business applications. Obviously, these guys are both big hitters in the tech sector. They do have their fans. People do tend to get attached to one or the other, depending on what they're familiar with. But they offer slightly different things. So we will look at some of the key differences now. So the first heading I'm going to go under is usability. So Google Workspace, one thing people really like about it is its simplicity. It's very clean, very simple to use. Most of its features work immediately right out the box, and people that are sort of fans of Google and the Google Workspace applications, that's one thing that they highlight again and again. And the other one is it's very easy to use. So this tends to lend itself more to small businesses who may not necessarily have that in-house expertise, or they just want something that pretty much is just ready to go. So that's the real two key selling points of Google Workspace. In contrast, Microsoft 365 has a lot more functionality. It has a greater range of applications, and within these applications, they do tend to have, or seem to have, an awful lot more features. and also there's a bit of familiarity with Microsoft 365. For those of you of my age and older will know that the Microsoft Office has been around for quite a long time now. It's something that businesses got really used to. So Microsoft kind of benefits from that, the fact that it's been around for so long, and things like Excel and Word have almost become synonymous with the capabilities that they actually provide. I mean, it's pretty much part of our everyday language. So Microsoft does benefit from that. Most people have at least at some point in their work career have used Microsoft Office. So the fact that Microsoft has built on that is quite a big plus point for them. Right, applications. So Google's suite of applications were tailor-made for the cloud. It is predominantly, almost exclusively, I would say, a cloud-based setup. And obviously, more and more over time, we've seen more and more applications and software solutions move to the cloud. This is kind of where everything is either now or where it's heading. So to have a set of applications that were designed with that environment in mind is obviously a big advantage for them. I will say, though, that there are some offline features available in Google Workspace. So there are some things you can take offline if you don't have internet connectivity. But as I said, it's basically been engineered for the cloud environment, and that's why it works so well, accessing it that way. Microsoft, in contrast, not only has cloud and mobile apps, which Google does, but it really plays heavily on its desktop environment. As I said, Microsoft Office has been around for a long time. It started off as a locally installed product, for those of you that remember that. But recently, since the advent of 365, they've started making it more and more compatible with the cloud. And Microsoft actually provides pretty much all of its applications, either through a browser on a mobile device or installed locally on your desktop. So you do get a bit of an advantage with that in the fact that the desktop apps allow it to provide a lot more features. So if that's something you're used to, that's obviously a big point for Microsoft. And as I alluded to earlier, it's got greater functionality, and the familiarity is quite important to them. The fact that most people have seen their products to a greater or lesser extent really helps them to push this. And the desktop versions are very powerful and do provide an awful lot of functionality. Mobile usage, quite an interesting one. As I said, Google was designed for the cloud, and it's also made great use of applications that it provides for mobile devices, so smartphones and tablets. A lot of people that use it say that the experience compared like for like is more refined and smooth, and you would expect that from a set of applications that have been designed with the cloud in mind. So its mobile experience is really, really good. And from the latest data, the latest statistics we have, 70% of regular users of Google Workspace are actually primarily accessing these applications on their mobile devices, which is quite interesting in itself. So they feel that they're able to do all the work that they need, all the collaboration, either through their smartphone or through their tablet. So yeah, so Google's obviously invested an awful lot in this, and it seems to be paying off. Microsoft 365, most of the applications are available as a desktop and as a smartphone or tablet application, available from Android, Google stores or the App Store. But the feeling is that they're slightly less intuitive than Google. While they are obviously improving them all the time, both companies are, obviously apps are regularly updated. I think Google benefits from the fact that it was designed for the cloud, so it almost had this mobile experience in mind, whereas Microsoft's had to evolve into that over a period of time. But all the 365 apps are available. I use them myself. So I suppose once you sort of get used to Microsoft as a product, you can still do an awful lot of things on the move, and obviously that's increasing as time goes by. There's a slight drop off with 365 users, that 60% of them, regular users of Microsoft 365, use mobile applications to access these apps. It's still a pretty good number, but not quite as high as Google, and that probably leans itself to the fact that Google's mobile experience is a bit more intuitive, and as we said, more refined and smooth. Storage. So this is where these two do start diverging slightly. Now, obviously, things move all the time, and these products and product applications are evolving. So, but as the current state of play, Google offers about 30 gigabytes per user on a basic plan, which for companies that don't hold a lot of data, or if you're using small data sets, that may be more than sufficient. But actually, when you think about the storage capabilities that you can get on the average smartphone now, that doesn't seem a lot. I think you'll probably agree. However, I will caveat that if you go with Google's business plans, and they do have an enterprise version as well, that storage does increase quite a lot. But for sort of basic off-the-shelf purchases of Google Workspace accounts, the storage actually seems, on the face of it, a little bit low potentially for some businesses. Microsoft, 1 terabyte, irrespective of plan. So that's quite a generous storage, even for the most basic 365 subscriptions. And I know for a fact that in SharePoint, the storage is even more generous. You're talking about multiple terabytes, and you do have the option of increasing that further if your business requires that. So when it comes to file storage, if you're an organization looking at these two products, this may be the thing that swings it for you. Microsoft seems to be a lot more generous with its storage amounts, even on the lower plans. So I suppose this really depends on the amount of data your organization has or expects to generate. Administration. As we said at the start, Google Workspace is very clean and very easy to use, and feedback from this around how you actually manage your Google Workspace environment from its portal and the dashboards that you've got available. The clarity is really, really good. It's very easy to understand, very easy to navigate around, very easy to do stuff straight off the bat. And there's also, and this is quite important to some companies, is there's minimal setup. It's very easy to get Google Workspace up and running and doing exactly what you need it to do. And you're less reliant on maybe sort of some in-house expertise or people to sort of manage it in a bit more detail day to day. Microsoft 365, on the other hand, requires more of a setup. There's an awful lot more you can do from an administration point of view. Loads more sort of customizations and features. But that's the kind of trade-off. You do benefit from a huge amount of functionality in Microsoft 365, but that does require it to be set up in a more, there's more planning really needs to go into how this is set up and how it's deployed. So that's kind of the trade-off. If you want to benefit from those features, you really have to put a bit of effort in behind the scenes. So that's obviously quite a big difference between the two products. Security, very important on a lot of people's minds. So Google Workspace by default offers multi-factor authentication, which most cloud-based technologies do now. And it uses what they call cloud identity features to actually provide security around your online experience. So monitoring things like logins and various other functions and features. So obviously, as I said, Google was designed in the cloud, so they have considered the sort of security implications of working in that kind of environment. Microsoft 365 offers MFA as well, though. That could be initiated from the admin center and actually pushed out to everybody. And as I said, you would expect MFA to be standard on companies like this. I mean, it's par for the course now. But Microsoft slightly different. It uses more AI to monitor for security threats and to deploy some of its features. There's a lot of remote monitoring that sort of kicks up alerts for administrators. So there's a bit more clever stuff behind the scenes. And Microsoft also does have a security admin center, security center, with some really, really sophisticated security features. So again, it's a slight difference. It's not saying that Google isn't secure at all. That's not true at all. It's just that Microsoft at the moment does allow you to set up and deploy sort of more advanced security features. But as we said, these products are evolving all the time, and both of them place a great amount of importance in security in your cloud-based applications. Tools and features. So this is the big one for Google. Most Google Workspace users say that the collaboration features are seamless. It's really, their apps are really designed to be collaborative platforms in the online environment, and most users of Google Workspace are really, really satisfied with how seamless that collaboration actually is. And it's also, it comes up again and again that the look seems to be cleaner, the look and feel. It just seems to be a bit more polished for an online sort of applications. And a lot of Google users really like that. The fact that things are really easy to do, and it just seems to be a nice sort of application to work around. One noticeable difference, and there are some differences between the 365 and Google apps. So Google Workspace has Google Meet, which is an audio and video application for meetings and sort of Teams calls, but it doesn't incorporate chat into that. Chat is actually in a separate application, Google Chat, funnily enough. So yeah, some people find that a little bit of a pain having to jump between the two when other platforms actually offer all that all in one application. Whether this is something Google will look at moving forward and incorporate the two together, not sure yet. I haven't seen anything that says that, but I would imagine that must be something that they're looking at, because that is one of the slight negatives that comes back from Google Workspace users. 365 applications, as we've said previously, the features and functionality are superior, but Microsoft Office apps in particular, with sort of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, have been around for an awful long time, so they've had a long time to evolve and continuously improve. So in that respect, some of the Google applications are playing catch up. So for example, if you were to go like for like with Microsoft Word versus Google's equivalent, there's no comparison really. The features in Word are far, far superior. But as I said, these products are evolving all the time, so Google may close the gap on that as we go. As I said, the difference between Google and 365, Microsoft Teams, which is a very, very popular communication application, does fully integrate chat with calls and video calling, so it's all in one place. And it's also compatible with a lot of business cloud phone systems as well, so you can turn Teams into your one-stop communication shop. So that is one advantage that 365 does have over Google Workspace. Another notable difference, so Gmail, most people actually think that Gmail is a superior product to Microsoft Outlook. Gmail does really rate highly across the board, and it's a very, very good email application. Outlook is a bit more, has more functionality, but people tend to like the look and feel of Gmail, and a lot of people think that's a superior product, gets really good feedback. But Gmail actually shares its storage space with Google Drive, which is your personal storage space within Google Workspace. Whereas in 365, your personal storage space is OneDrive, and that has completely separate storage limits from Outlook. So the two aren't, although they're integrated and they can talk to each other, you're not sacrificing storage for one or the other. So that's another thing maybe to bear in mind when you're looking at these products. But as I said, the real sort of standout Google Apps, seamless collaboration, very nice look and feel to it. Microsoft, slightly more corporate look and feel, but then you benefit from greater functionality. So that's kind of the marked differences between the two. So we say verdict. Well, as Libby said at the beginning of our intro, we are technology independent. We are a Google partner as well as a Microsoft 365 partner. The decision on which product base you would go for is really dependent on you as an organization. We could advise on what may be more appropriate, but really at the end of the day, it's down to how your business expects to use these products, what it feels is important. And we would help you if you came to Albron in any kind of discovery phase to make sure that you picked the suite of applications that actually is going to benefit you most as a business. If you place a greater emphasis on things just working first time out the box, and you like collaboration, and you don't really necessarily have higher end sort of security considerations or vast amounts of data that needs to be stored, then Google Workspace is a fantastic product, and it really lends itself towards smaller businesses, and businesses that take this up actually are really impressed how quick it's deployed, how quick they can sort of get up and running on it, and the fact that they can work seamlessly on the move as well. So that does tend to lend itself to smaller organizations that don't really have that in-house expertise or time to actually sort of manage these things day to day. 365 on the other hand does require more in-house support, does require a lot more setting up. There's an awful lot more you can deploy with 365, but the uptake of that is that you get a huge amount of functionality, a huge amount of features, and side by side, although there's only a selection of applications there, 365 does have a lot more apps than Google Workspace, covers a sort of greater range of abilities, but as I said, it's a trade-off between the increased functionality and the sort of day-to-day management that 365 requires to keep it going. So yeah, it's really a choice for you. But as we said, we partner with both, and we're more than happy if you're looking at one or other of these products, or maybe switching from one to the other. We're more than happy to sit down with you in a discovery phase, go through the pros and cons of both, and then make sure you get the one that's going to work for you. And on that note, Libby, we'll...
Great, thank you, James. That was very insightful. Yeah, it was good to sort of see a side-by-side comparison like that. So with that, just a note to any of the participants today, or to anybody who's watching the webinar recording, please do reach out if you're interested in either sort of getting a consultation or an analysis on your existing sort of workspace environment. Then yeah, please do reach out, and somebody like James will be more than happy to offer some advice, some feedback, and really help you to develop your collaboration environments within your organization. So please do drop us an email at hello@alberon.co.uk. Stay tuned into our social media pages as well, because we'll be posting about future webinars that you may or may not be interested in. They generally run every week on a Thursday. Great. So that would be a fantastic one to tune into if you're interested in sort of improving your, I guess, your branding, your graphics, your sort of, I suppose, your internal branding and consistency. Would that be right?
Yeah, they're really increasing the capability. So it's, yeah, from a visuals point of view, yeah, some really big changes. It's gonna particularly if you use SharePoint as an intranet, I think you'll find these really good.
Great, thank you. So I think we can bring the webinar to an end now. Do be sure to check out our YouTube channel as well for any of our previous webinar recordings. And yeah, like I said, reach out if you have any questions or if you're interested in a consultation. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day. Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you, James. Bye.